He is a Hall of Fame baseball player and one of the best in our profession of sports broadcasting when he's behind the mic with Joe Buck and when you see him on MLB Network's programming as well. But for the moment, he is just joining us as a member of the field of the U.S. Senior Open. He is none other than John Smoltz. How are you, John?
That is so weird to hear. And
It's true.
I'm numb. I'll be honest. I'm sitting here on the driving range thinking about how do we find a way to play a few more days after Friday?
So walk me through how you qualified for this. When and how?
Yeah. So it was, it was in the middle of a pretty good work schedule. I had basically in a 30-day span, had only been home about 4 days. And so I flew home to play in this qualifier and had high expectations, but just whenever I get there, I just try to figure out if I could play kind of golf I want to play. And I left my house at 5:15 in the morning. I teed off first, shot a 69, birdie in 15, 16, and 17, and then had to wait 8 hours. And found out I was in a three-way playoff for one spot after 8 hours. So hitting balls at the 7 hour and 30 mark was not if you'd have saw it, you just said, okay, just get back in your car and go home. I got into a situation where I tried to, what was the closest thing I could remember to pitching is just remember being tired and just try to throw one pitch at a time. And in the playoff, I tried to hit one shot at a time and did that relatively well the first 5 shots. And then it got really hectic after that. Birdied the first hole, eliminated one guy, another guy birdied. So that was 2 guys for one spot. We went 2 holes. We played a couple ugly shots, and ultimately I was afforded, you play match play at that point. You don't really care what your score is.
Okay.
I made a mistake on 18 after he made a mistake to get back level, but luckily I 2-putted and he did not.
So when it's all said and done, John, you qualified for this by shooting a score, waiting 8 hours to find out if that score was good enough, found out that it wasn't, you needed to play in a playoff, and then what was the score that you won on with again, technically?
So we both went birdie on the first hole, we both bogeyed the second hole, and then I doubled because he hit his ball in the water off the tee, and it left me with 2-shot advantage, and I made a critical mistake that I'll never make again. Instead of playing it safe out of the bunker, I tried to hit it to the green, and knowing that if I did that, there's no way he could tie me, and I brought a tie back into play by hitting the lip of the bunker and hitting it in the water. So I hit a really good shot after my emotions, if you can only imagine what that was like, after sinking to the ball in the water. I hit it to about 10 feet, and he hit it to about 20 feet. So, I had the easier putt, just missed it, and he just missed his comebacker coming back.
Unbelievable. John Smoltz here on the Rich Eisen Show. How does this compare to the butterflies or nerves that you felt at any point during your Major League Baseball Hall of Fame career, John?
So the only way I can compare it is my last game that I knew I was going to pitch for the Cardinals. I came out of the pen in the playoffs. Couldn't spit, couldn't whistle, my stomach was in knots. Never felt that my entire career. Never felt that in any playoff game. I guess the only way I could think about is that, I knew that this was it. This was going to be it. And this trumps it 10 times over. This is, I was confident in my sport. In baseball, I had all the pitches I wanted. Even though I was limited with St. Louis at the end, I felt like I still could compete. In golf, I have, 3/4 of what you need. And I hope to avoid that other quarter, that shot where you don't feel comfortable or you're not as confident. And in baseball, from a team concept, everything I did had a team-oriented concept. Win the World Series together. We can't win the Cy Young by yourself. In golf, it's all you. You don't hide. You can't tap somebody up to say, hey, come hit the shot. So there's definitely an anxiousness of nerves that I've never felt in baseball. And, if there's certain areas of the golf course I get into, I'm like, whoa, now what? So That's the part I'm trying to learn. Each moment I play in a tournament, I learn something. Usually it's humiliating, but that's okay. I learn a lesson, and I go from there. And the biggest thing that I'm trying to do is swing with freedom instead of protection or defense. Because a golf course like this, as tough as it is, can make you be very defensive, and I don't want to do that.
The golf course like this being the Broadmoor East course in Colorado Springs, Colorado, from where John Smoltz is calling before a practice round of the U.S. Senior Open that he qualified for. Hold on a minute. After waiting 8 hours to see if he needed to play in a playoff, and did, and then eventually qualified with a double bogey in match play. I got that right, John? That's all accurate from start to finish there. Unbelievable. So what was your reaction when you found out that we just showed a photograph of you holding up the card that made it official. How did you celebrate, if you will?
So I did close to 9 p.m. So leaving my house at 5 o'clock in the morning, and on my way back, it's about an hour 40. I get on the car and I called my wife. Nobody, because everyone knew I was in a playoff, but then I didn't talk to anybody for an hour and 45 minutes. That's how long it took.
Yeah.
They pretty much assumed that I had lost. And, when I called, I just started screaming. And I said, I made it. I was screaming like a little 5-year-old. And then my second call was to Joe Buck. And I told him 3 years ago that I was going to make the senior tour at some point, and he was going to call it because Fox has it. Oh. So I started screaming to Joe Buck. There's nothing to describe it. It's not anything I've done individually in a baseball field where I felt this kind of emotion. Maybe in Houston after pitching 3 innings of relief to force a Game 5, I gave that kind of double fist pump, screaming on the mound. It's the only time you'll see that kind of emotion. But this was unbelievable.
And is it true that you were, speaking of Joe Buck, back in a booth with him shortly thereafter, your qualification round, John?
Yeah, we go. So my schedule hasn't slowed down. As soon as this is over, I fly to the network. I work all next week. I fly to L.A., work Saturday, take the red-eye home. 3 days later, I fly back out for the American Century Tournament, take the red-eye to the All-Star game, call the All-Star game, and if I'm still walking on Wednesday, I fly home.
It's unbelievable, man. And so who have you seen, I guess, on the practice tee or out and about that you have seen that you're now competing with here, John?
Yeah, this has been the coolest part. I mean, I've gotten to be friends with a few of the guys here on the tour, and they've all been just, generally super happy for me. Playing with Freddie Couples and Lee Jansen here in about 15 minutes. And I just feel like, the only way I can explain to people that go to fantasy camp, baseball camp for that week, that's what I feel like. I'm in fantasy camp. But I'm trying to compete, and I'm trying to get to the, cut line or thereabouts and see what happens. There's a lot of anticipation. A lot of people have been unreal here in Colorado. Last time I was here, I was reminded that I won a game in April of 2007. So I enjoy hitting a golf ball more than I do throwing a baseball in this rarefied air.
And so, hey, look, so you won the last time you were in Colorado. Why can't you make it 2 in a row, John? Let's be honest.
A win for me will be playing 4 days. How about that? That would be like a tremendous win. And I am tickled to death. I have tremendous respect for the guys on this tour for what they've done their whole career. And I did make this a dream of mine. I did say when I was 40 that I would just be part of someday playing on the senior tour. I've achieved it, and it won't be the last.
That's awesome. So you got Jansen and Couples in a practice round. Who are you slated to tee off with, play the actual tournament event?
So
first
Thursday
round?
Morning at real early, which is good because I don't like to wait.
Right.
It'll be Bob Ford and Jim.
And Jim.
And I know Bob real well from Seminole and Oakmont, and it should be a fun pairing, and it should be a fun first round to settle the nerves because there will be some.
Yes.
The first hole in the practice round, I'm pretty confident with my tee ball. I'm confident that I know where it's going 95% of the time. But the alley to shoot through the first tee, there were a lot of confident people lined up thinking that I was definitely going to hit it straight. So That was a fun little visual.
I know. Look, everything you've said to this point, I honestly don't know how it feels because I've never played baseball to see, obviously, a Hall of Fame level or any level close to it. Golf the same way. But when I play in any charity celebrity golf tournaments and people are just standing by the tee or the green like they think I'm actually a good player, I'm like, you've got more confidence than I do, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it was. It felt good to hit. In a practice round, everything's much more relaxed. Like, you know how many no hitters I've thrown in the bullpen? I told people I throw a ton of no hitters in the bullpen. It's when you cross the white line that you need that best stuff. So that's what I'm hoping for tomorrow. Like I said, early round will be good for me, and get out there, and it's going to be hot. So playing early will help. Friday, I think it's going to be close to 96, 97 degrees. So that's usually not temperatures in this area, so it'd be interesting.
Well, John, you're on a courtesy also of MLB Network, so I'm mandated to say tonight's Angels and Red Sox, Friday Yankees and Red Sox, and those are events that you will not be part of because you will be in Colorado, hopefully qualifying for the weekend, and I look forward to seeing that, John.
Well, thanks a lot for having me.
Of course. Anytime, John. Good luck. Hit him straight.
You got it. All right.
That is John Smoltz from the tee box, or pardon me, the practice range, it sounded like, in Colorado, Broadmoor East Course in Colorado Springs, Colorado, where tomorrow he will be teeing off with Bob Ford and Jim McGovern in round 1 of the U.S. Senior Open.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.